Last year in week 9, we were worried that Jonathan Taylor was going to lose his job to Jordan Wilkins and Naheem Hines. But now, he's being drafted in the first round. Is he really worth that high of a price? Let's take a look. Okay, so last season, Jonathan Taylor was 15th in touches per game with 17.9. He was also 11th in carries per game with 15.5. When it came to targets, he was pretty low. He was 35th with 2.6. When it came to total yards per game, however, he was kind of high, 10th. When it comes to touchdowns per game, he was tied for 7th with 0.8 per game. It's the same amount as Josh Jacobs. That's pretty respectable. What about yards per carry? Pretty good. He was 5th. That would rank a tie for 5th with the likes of Gus Edwards, Dalvin Cook, Damian Harris, Alvin Kamara, Raheem Mostert, all pretty good running backs. And when it comes to half PPR points per game, he was 8th with 15.7 per game. So Jonathan Taylor clearly had a pretty good season last year, but looking a little bit more in depth, there was kind of a fluke game per se. Week 17, home to Jacksonville, against a competitor that was really not trying to win at all. They would have risked losing that first overall pick, Trevor Lawrence, their new franchise quarterback. So they definitely weren't going to try and stop Jonathan Taylor. He had 30 carries for 253 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with 1 reception for 1 yard in this game. So definitely an incredible game, but not really one that you can rely on. The competition was not really trying as hard as they normally are in a typical NFL game. If you take that game out of it, and we look at the other 14 games that Jonathan Taylor played, there was one week 12, where he didn't play, he was on the COVID list. His stats, they drop a little bit. So he would then be 16th in touches, 14th in carries, 15th in total yards, 11th in touchdowns, 29th in yards per catch, tied for 14th in half PPR points per game. So much more a top 15 type of running back than a top 10 running back. But his role really changed throughout the season. Like we said, there was a point in week 9 where he was fumbling, he was getting benched, and we were a little bit worried about him. But in week 10, he really turned it around, and he finished the season with 6 really good games as the clear-cut starter. These are the type of numbers that we can expect from Jonathan Taylor if he continues to have a workhorse type of role in this Indianapolis offense. So these last 6 games, things get a little bit different. He jumps to 22.2 touches per game, which would have ranked 5th. 19.8 of those would have been carries. That's still 5th. And he jumps to a very high 1.17 touchdown per game rate. That would have ranked 4th in the league last year. And his yards per carry would have jumped to 1st overall, 6.3. No caveats, just better than every other running back in the league. His yards per game also catapults to 1st overall, 139.5 total yards per game. And this all culminates in a 3rd overall rank in terms of half PPR points per game at 22.1. So Jonathan Taylor, if he's able to maintain this massive workload that he had in the final 6 games of the season, would be an elite running back. He's got a great offensive line, and that as long as that job is all his, he doesn't have to share it with anyone, then the potential for Jonathan Taylor is best running back in the league. So his status as a first-round pick shouldn't really be that much in question. I think he's earned that to a certain degree. But it's a question of whether you believe in this second half of the season or not. I do, and I don't really see a reason why you shouldn't. I have him as my running back 6th overall.